Okay, so let us look at a simple example demonstrate the use of constructors and destructors. So the simple problem is calculate the area of rectangle using constructors and destructors. Let's start. I'm gonna include the let's static C++.h header. Use the namespace sc. Now let me create a class named area. I have two variables in the public access specifier. One is the length and the other is breadth. Let me create parameterized constructor. So the name of the parameterized constructor would be same as that of the default constructor. So let me have two variables, float x and float y, that I can initialize these two variables with x and y. Breadth is equal to y. Right. Let me also have a destructor. Semicolon is redundant here. Now a destructor length and breadth are destroyed. Don't forget to put a semicolon. Let me also have a function to calculate the area. Let me say float calculate area, and which will return length times breadth. Okay. So in the main function, let me create two objects of class area. Let me say rect1 and rect2. But we cannot declare the objects like this, otherwise the default constructor would have to be called. But we are using parameterized constructor, so we need to assign some values to length and breadth. Let me say 4 point, say 4.0 and 3.0, and for this we say 3.1 and 9.6. Now let me have two variables, area1, the area of rect1, and area2, area of rect2. So area1 is equal to rect1 dot calculate area, and area2 be rect2 dot calculate area. Okay, let me output area1 is area2. Let us look at the output. So this is the output as expected. Using a parameterized constructor and destructor, we have calculated the area of two objects here. One is 12, 4 into 3 is 12, and 3.1 into 9.6 is 29.76. Now let us use default constructor. Instead of this, I'm going to remove this. Initialize length to 12 and breadth to 13. So no matter how many objects we create, they will have the same area. As always, when we create an object, the length and breadth for each of the objects is initialized to 12 and 13. So the area is gonna remain the same unless we change it manually. So let's see. Yeah, so it's gonna remain the same. 12 and 13 is 156. Same for that other case unless we change it manually. So let's move on to next problem. Okay, so this is not a problem, but now I'm going to demonstrate the use of constructors, all the three types, and destructors. I'm going to show more clearly how constructors and destructors exactly work. Then include the header. Using namespace st. Now a class, let me say a, have two variables a and b. Let me first use a default constructor. We initialize a some arbitrary values. Let me say a as 1 and b is equal to 2. So here we use, let me say, default constructor call. Now let me create a destructor as well. We'll assign a destructor call. Once a destructor is called, the variables a and b are going to be destroyed and the memory will be reallocated. And destructor is always called at the end of the program. Inside the main function, in we create two objects in obj1, obj2. So by creating the objects obj1 and obj2, default constructor is going to be called automatically, and the values a and b will be initialized to 1 and 2. Let's see. Let me output obj1 dot a, obj1 dot b. Also keep space between them. Now, first we are going to see the value of a for object 1, then the value of b for object 1, and then at last we're going to see, we are going to see whatever we have written inside the destructor function. Not written anything. Let me write destructor end of the program. Okay. We're going to see the value of a for object 1, value of b for object 1, and then end of the program destructor called. Let's see. Yeah. So for both of the objects, we see end of the program destructor call. So now let's create a parameterized constructor. So we cannot have two constructors at a time. That means we cannot have default constructor and parameterized constructor together. Either there has to be default constructor or parameterized constructor. But we can have default constructor and copy constructor, and we also can have parameterized constructor and copy constructor. Let me create parameterized constructor. There we have int y. This would be parameterized constructor. We're gonna assign a to x. We're gonna assign x to a and y to b. That constructor is already created. Now, instead of this, we have to have some random values. Let me say 2 and 4. 3 and 6. Okay, let's see the output now. Having A has 2 and B has 4 seen from here, and for both the objects destructor is called. Both the objects are destroyed at the end of the program. Now let me use default constructor and copy constructor. Okay. For default constructor again, default constructor, I'm gonna assign 1 to A and 2 to B. There is a default constructor. Now a copy constructor. Name of the class, which is A. Name of the class again, which is A. Another object. So create and J. So object name is J. Let me say C for simplicity. Now assign A. I'm gonna assign C dot A to variable A, and B, for B I'll assign C dot B. This essentially means that we are actually calling another object C, same class. I'm gonna assign those values to the present class, present object. So now no parameterized constructor. Now we have default constructor. So obj1, and we will have the default values. Let me create obj1 for now. Then let me create another object, obj2. Now I'm gonna assign obj2 to I'm gonna assign obj1 to obj2. So this is called copy constructor. So we are copying the values of A and B in object1 to A and B in object2. So let me output this also. obj2.a, then obj2.b, and let's see the output now. Yeah, both of them have the same values of A and B, and that's it. So that's it about constructors and destructors. Thank you.